We are back with the follow-up podcast, and we are following up on
First Peter.
The second half of chapter 1 of First Peter, and it's a section that just says, get ready, because stuff's going to happen, and you got to be prepared to take on what God gives you.
Right. It's like he's been building this understanding of their salvation and the gospel, and getting ready to. He starts to get into what do we do with this information a little bit in this part of the chapter.
Right off the bat, therefore preparing your minds for action.
And he does that a bunch of times. There's a bunch of therefores that pop up. Therefore do this, and you'll see it as you go through the book. Where there's a few things that they do on the basis of the details of the gospel that are there. Getting into this chapter, I mean, there's a lot of overlapping themes. Like between this section and the previous section, it seems like there's a little bit of overlap and building on.
When they wrote letters back then, they were meant to be read in one sitting. Go through it with the congregation, and so you're going to have repetition that reinforces stuff that's been said, but from the new angle of what you're going to do with it, or how this would relate between you, or between the world, or between God, or something like that. As different applications. Yeah,
something that I've just been noticing in this chapter that keeps popping up over and over, and he keeps referring to this revelation of Jesus Christ, the idea of Jesus being revealed to them.
Yeah,
and it's in the first half of the text, and it just keeps going where it seems like it pops up multiple times as a main theme that they're looking for.
Well, it was there 3 or 4 times in the section before as well.
Right. Yeah. And it pops up again, and this is where the grace that they're looking for. It says keep your hope completely on the grace that's brought to you at the revelation of Jesus Christ. So I'm wondering, what is that grace that we're hoping for? And then it's presented as like a future event, or how do we view that? Because it seems like he's saying you're supposed to be hoping for this thing that you're going to get later.
Okay.
And so what is that thing that we're going to get later that he's wanting us to hope for?
Well, I think it ties into the fact that God is living and active and present, and he pokes through life at the times when we need him. So, like when they say, don't think, when you're brought before kings and questioned, don't think about what you'll say, but in that moment, God will give you the words. So that was a revelation, right? To that person, God revealed to them what they should say.
Jesus was telling his disciples that. He was saying, don't worry about what you're going to say.
Right. So I think I struggle with that too, in looking at, I thought they already had the grace of God. Why would it talk about something future that would happen?
Right.
And I think he's looking through the lens of the life. How will you see God revealed in your day-to-day walk through the trials?
Okay. And that kind of bumps up against, because a lot of English translations translate this phrase or this concept of the revelation of Jesus Christ and the verbs that are surrounding that as if they were future. I know in the ESV, it kind of looks at it as a future thing that's going to happen. But then I'm trying to look back in the original languages, and I don't see a lot of future verbs in this chapter. There's only one future verb in here.
Okay, but is it in a present continuous?
Right, and I think that's where we're getting the idea of something that's ongoing.
Right. So yes, ongoing, I think is a more. So could you put that instead of will be revealed? Will be revealing, or would that be a better way?
Is revealing, continuing to reveal. Okay,
right, something like that.
Yeah, that actually helps us understand, I think, a little bit, because we tend to think of 3 tenses of the past, the present, and the future, and when we're reading our Bible, we tend to think of that English.
Well, we have infinitives, right? Is that
a little bit?
It is.
Yeah. I think. Yeah, I don't remember this exact word,
present,
but that's
continuous, or something like that.
I'll go get the encyclopedia. but yeah, to be able to think of actions that start at a certain point and continue for a while.
Yeah.
I think helps us grasp what this sense of
the revelation,
futuring. Yeah. So the thing that we should be hoping for here, the grace, that we set our hope completely on the grace. What
This
is
is verse 13 of chapter 1.
Yeah. What is that grace that we're looking for, or what's wrapped up in it?
Well, and like you say, present continuous. So they are to set your hope fully on the grace that will be brought to you at the revelation of Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
You can set your hope going into the future, knowing that when you need it, God's grace will be there.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So that's
I
what
see.
you're. It's like. So my son Peter, he did a hike up a mountain.
Sure.
He wanted to do it quickly. He wanted to do it efficiently. It was one of the brothers mountain. He wanted to do it in a day, and that's a tough hike. He had to run as much as he could to get down there,
All day.
get all the way up there. It took all day.
Yeah.
But he stashed, so he took water with him, and about the halfway point, he stashed a large container in the bushes, knowing that so he wouldn't have to carry it up the mountain, but knowing that when he came down the mountain, that stash would be there.
Ah, okay.
So being aware that provision is there for you at the point where you need it. I mean, it's different with God has, he sees the future. He knows the future.
Right.
He sees all times as one. And so God's provision is there for you when you need it.
So it's not like we're, the opposite of this would be like we're locked in a jail cell for an unknown number of days and we have no idea when we're getting out. We have no idea what's coming down the line. And Peter is saying, actually, we do have an idea what's coming down the line. We do know that there's the grace of God's with you now and will be with you later.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And it's the work of Satan to say, God is not enough.
It'll eventually run out.
God's going to fail you, all those kinds of things. And he puts those ideas. I mean, that was what was really brought to Adam and Eve, is saying, God doesn't want you to know that
he's holding out on you,
that you could be just like him if you just eat this fruit, because what God is giving you day by day, walking with you in the cool of the garden and showing you his creation and all that kind of thing, that's not enough. You have to go and secure your future with something else. And I think that's a temptation. And so the temptation for these people would be, all right, how can we make this culture that is upset with us for following Christ, for naming Jesus as King, Jesus as Lord, they're upset with us about it. How can we make them happy? Because we've got to somehow work with that.
Like we're tempted to diversify our investment. I don't know if I can go all in with Christianity. Maybe I'll put a few eggs in a few other baskets.
Hedging your bets, all those kinds of things. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's the temptation is not to be all in. Unless you can see that Jesus is all in and there's something at the end of it that's never going to run out.
Right.
Okay. And I'm looking at, because he's starting to call back. He's calling them to action on the basis of this grace that they're expecting, that they're to hope. But then he's going on giving them a bunch of instructions about their former life, saying, hey, now that you know where you're going, that you know what's going on, let's get our act together concerning the way that we live our life in the here and now. And I think it's interesting because he talks about it as their former way of life as ignorance. As something that was based on ignorance. And just to talk about some of those, on one side, some of those inherited issues that we just do as part of our
the training we had as children, society, all those norms that are around us, the way you do stuff. That's operating out of ignorance.
And then the role of knowledge in like setting someone free from that. So how is, I guess, what are some ways that we live ignorantly, and then knowledge is the key to climbing out of that? Like,
what are some ways that we live ignorantly?
He doesn't exactly give like specific examples here. He just kind of refers to it generically.
I mean, what was the habit? What was the way that they lived ignorantly? If you're talking to, because he's writing to the church. Possibly the church expulsed from Rome or Jerusalem. So you've got Hebrews, you've got Gentiles mixed together.
Right.
So what are some habits that they would have lived under?
For like a Gentile, you've got a whole culture that's built around idolatry.
Yes.
Right. So they've got their their special ceremonies and their temples and their offerings that they offer and their holidays and all the things are structured around an entirely false system of worship.
Family expectations would go along with that. How you look at the society, what is right and wrong. Worldview.
Okay.
Yeah. And then on the Jewish side, leaky eye here. I'm not crying, honestly.
Yeah, it's so emotionally gripping.
Yeah.
On the Jewish side,
on the Jewish side, you've got the way that they relate to the law, and they relate to the ways that they got around the law. You know, the cheats.
Not the law itself, but the traditions that got stacked on top of that.
They were traditions, but they were also just ways to get around the requirements.
Loopholes.
Yeah, loopholes. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah. And so if you think about, what Christ is bringing here, you go, well, how can I find a loophole around that? That would be an ignorant old way of thinking. Because there's no loophole in the relationship with Jesus Christ. He sees your heart. You're not gonna.
You can't hide something.
Can't get around it. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think that's what the former habits, the former ignorance. But it says the passions of your former ignorance. There was desires that were being served by that ignorance.
Okay.
But now you know those passions for what they are, and they're submitted to Christ, and so you're in a different relationship to Him.
So there seems to be a knowledge of Christ that's revealing to us things about our past and delivering us from the old patterns and habits and ways of doing things, but also knowledge about ourselves that applies to that too.
Yeah.
Being aware of, hey, I'm just blindly following my own desires.
Right.
Where is this actually going to lead me?
Well, if you look at other letters that talk about the desires of the flesh, absent from this teaching, you would assume, oh, my body, my mind, my everything that I am wants X.
Mm-hmm.
And because I want X, wanting X is normal.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than saying, wait, there is a revealed purpose for my body, my mind, my work, my ethics, my relation. All those things have a divine purpose to them, and using them wrongly is to subvert what God has designed for me.
Or in a more simple way of thinking, not everything that you want is good for you.
Yes.
Very simply broken down, sometimes we want things that will harm us. That'll lead to destruction in our life and break us down. Yeah. So that is a good explanation as far as considering this, because I initially, reading through, I got this, I guess, perspective that these were Jews that were scattered around, but then to bring in some of the Gentile culture, the non-Jewish culture of the day into the what they were up against. I think that's honing in on a key point.
That's mixed in as well. He recognizes that Gentiles have similar but different struggles than the Jews.
Yeah. So the knowledge is kind of the key, since it was in their former ignorance. Now knowledge is the key to beginning to understand how to overcome or change or redeem those old patterns.
Yeah.
That may be connected to the revelation of Jesus being revealed to us, kind of the key.
The key perspective. Mm-hmm. So, thinking of the Jews would have a creation story that would go back to Adam and Eve. Mm-hmm. They would have that foundation coming forward in it, but they wouldn't have the perspective that all were created through Christ.
Okay.
So for them, that was a connection that they actually met or saw or had among them the one through whom they were created. And that one was crucified for their behalf. So it made it personal for them. Mm-hmm. Gentiles, on the other hand, would look at their concept of creation was everything from degraded deities or lumps of leftover material of something that just happened to form into humans. There was all kinds of stories.
More of like a random chance or a bit of an accident,
Yeah.
or some kind of just a strictly natural process.
Well, it would have had divine involved in it. They recognized that, but it was more like, yeah, just a random kind of a afterthought of divinity.
Oh, okay.
And so that's kind of what the concept of the Olympian system. But there was also many other smaller religions around the Roman Empire that they would have had as a previous understanding of how they came to be. And now they find out, oh, this Christ, I was created through him. And so it was an entirely revolution to their way of thinking.
The entire worldview, how we even got here, the basic questions that we ask as humans, we ask these questions.
How do we get here? Yeah.
How do we get here? What's our purpose? How do I live? All that. And that's all being reshaped when they're coming to realize who Jesus is.
Yes. And as he's continuously revealed to them and they're able to see his grace coming into their life and transforming them, they are immensely grateful to now have the order of the universe described to them in truth.
And so in contrast to the way that they lived before, now he's calling them to be holy in all of their behavior, to be holy, and the motivation is like the Holy One who called you. So because the one who called you is holy, you need to emulate that and follow in that path.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you are created to be holy. And that's, kind of towards the end there.
What does that mean? What is holiness? How do we understand holiness?
Set apart.
Okay.
I mean, that's the technical
textbook definition.
Yeah, set apart ones. But I mean, holiness, it has a sense of separated from that which is not desired or not right or not good. It's separated from that.
Okay, so there's some negative connotations there as well.
Yeah, of what it is, it isn't. But what it, I mean, when we're talking about God, you can say it's pure goodness, pure love, pure righteousness, all those things, uninhabited by anything of evil or wrong.
So there's a separation of qualities here. We have some things that are, whether just by nature of the fact that they're common and they're just ordinary, or by nature of the fact that they're actually bad, evil, or distasteful. There's a separation between those things and the qualities that God is.
Yes.
Who he is. And that separation is holiness.
Well, that's holiness what we're talking about here. But I mean, purely something being holy is set apart. So you could say evil is set apart. Okay, when we have Revelation and it talks about he separates the sheep from the goats.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Like an end times view.
Both of those groups are set apart.
That's true.
Okay, but one is set apart to God and holy in that regard, and the other is set apart to destruction and that part. I don't think anybody would say that Satan is holy. He's just set apart from that which is godly.
See. Okay, so you're keying into the fact that it's not just any kind of separation could be considered holiness, but it's got to be separated to God. And anything else would be just whatever.
Yeah, I've never seen it used in
another way.
In something that is set apart to be degraded, evil, or wicked, or bad.
Maybe in the Old Testament you might see the words dedicated to destruction.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but it's the same concept of it being segmented. To a certain thing, and so when we're talking about God, we're talking about the attributes of God that is holy unto him, holy his. So, righteousness, goodness, all the fruit of the Spirit, those kinds of things. He is a perfect example of those things.
Okay.
Maybe even you could say he is the source of those things. And that's how we are holy, in as much as the source of those things connects to us and flows into us.
Both of those, I think, are true.
Yes.
That God and that Jesus Christ lives out, models holiness for us.
Yeah.
And is also the source of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, now this is going to get, because this is where my brain goes all the way. Okay, he says, "You shall be holy, for I am holy." Peter does in verse 16. He's quoting back from Leviticus.
Right.
11, where are we at? Like 41 and onward. And when
Yep.
you read that passage in Leviticus, it's talking about that priests are not supposed to eat bugs.
Okay.
It's saying like all these different things that are crawling all over the earth. Like don't eat these detestable things that are swarming and whatever. And then he says, for I'm the one who brought you out of Egypt, so you should be holy. So what does a priest not eating bugs have to do with the Christian life?
That's just one instance in Leviticus. It's like 3 or 4 times in there in different places.
Sure.
But it's just saying that that's gross. That's unclean. You know, be wholly clean, whatever. You are to be separate from that.
Okay, so is he kind of referring to their old way of life as going back to eating bugs?
Well, that's one element of it. Yeah, I've got it written down. There's several Levitical instances where he says, "Be holy as I am holy."
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, right off the bat, he's talking to priests.
Mm-hmm.
And we are to be a nation of priests. We are to be a people who are directly able to approach our Creator and receive the redemption, the cleansing, the present the sacrifice of praise, all those things in a direct fashion.
Yeah, and if you keep going, you're actually going to preach chapter 2.
Yeah,
you're going to do that this week. Like a lot of that's in chapter 2. I'm looking at it like, yeah, that's right there. Anyway. Okay, so separation to God, being set apart to Him, to His goodness, to who He is, to who He wants us to be.
Who we are designed to be.
Who we're designed to be.
Yeah.
And
a lot of people,
back to worldview.
When you hear who He wants us to be, it's people hear that's like,
why did He arbitrarily
expecting
get to decide?
A professional couch potato is going to join the Olympics. So they think of it in that way.
Oh, okay.
When I think if we understand it, we are designed to be conduits of His grace through us to the world. We're designed to be holy. That means we have everything with what God brings to who we are. We have everything we need to do that. We just have to let Him do the building.
It's not some far off, distant, unattainable goal.
Yeah.
When we're with God, when we're in Christ.
Yeah.
That is within reach for us to strive towards.
Right.
And to chase it. Okay.
And God is constantly speaking to the follower of Him. Well, even if you're not a follower, He's constantly drawing hearts. He's constantly talking to those who are in Him and giving them the trials, because we had that in the first half of chapter 1, giving them the trials through which they will depend on God and become what they are designed to be, and that is conduits of grace to the world around us.
So looking into, as we're moving through the text, as we're seeing this holiness that He's calling them towards, there's an element of knowledge in verse 18 where it says, knowing that you were not redeemed with silver, gold, but with the precious blood of Christ. So their knowledge of redemption is one of the motivations for their striving to be holy, for their walking the way that they're going to walk in life, for their even for their wanting to please the Father who they're serving in verse 17. And I'm just looking at this language that's being used here, not redeemed with silver and gold, and then this language being used for the blood of Christ as a lamb that's without spot. And so I'm thinking about these two terms, like, this means redemption is not a problem that you could just throw money at.
Yes.
You could not just I can't buy my way out of it.
Right.
I can't pay to get through. Because sometimes we run into, we think of problems in society, right? And we think if we could just throw a little more money at it, it'll solve it. And you take whatever the problem is, right?
Yeah.
Like end world hunger, donate, 50 cents now for every meal or whatever. And that's the mindset that we. So when it comes to our personal life and our way that we live, this is not just a problem that we can throw money at, that the solution's found in redemption of Jesus Christ. Can you explain, with all this going on,
Yeah.
can you explain what it means that we're redeemed with blood and that it's as a spotless lamb? That Christ is as a spotless lamb. What does that have to do with our redemption?
Well, I mean, we just came out of Exodus.
Right.
We're studying Exodus, and that while the book of Exodus doesn't describe the whole spotless lamb requirements and everything, that's more in Deuteronomy, but the sacrificial system is set up there, and the spotless lamb is the offering for redemption. It's a picture and a pointing forward to Christ's purity, holiness, his sinless nature, perfection. You know, even at that time, they might see a lamb and they might say, "Oh, look at it! It looks absolutely perfect. It's totally spotless." They don't know if the lamb has a congenital heart defect or something like that that is going to show up when they're older. They don't. Looking at a lamb is a symbol of the purity that only Christ could fulfill. That's why Christ is the fulfillment of the sacrificial system. So once they make that connection, particularly the Jewish believers that would be reading that, they go, that lamb, that perfect lamb is the highest, it is the ideal perfection of that ideal idea, that can actually do the work of redemption. So it's worth more than any silver or gold.
He's pointing them back to their old sacrificial system, the Jewish sacrificial system, where they would bring, depends on what the offering is, they would bring different animals for different offerings, but in particular a lamb for like a sin offering kind of situation. And that's kind of concept of substitution there, where I'm offering this lamb because I did this thing, and then you mentioned a symbol. So all that Old Testament system was meant to be a symbol.
Yes.
That pointed to Jesus and what he would do.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the spotlessness of it, again, back to the lamb, we understand those weren't all perfect lambs, because we're just living in an imperfect world.
Right.
But you weren't supposed to offer one that had a defect. But then Jesus, how is he spotless? In what way? And how does that?
Well, because he is the creator. He's sinless.
He's sinless.
He did not break from God in any way, shape, or form his entire life.
Okay, so Jesus Christ is being revealed.
Yeah.
And he's sinless.
Yes.
And he's dying for the sins of the world.
Way more valuable than any silver or gold.
Right. Well, even going back to that, like their old system. I notice when you read the law that there's not a distinction between rich or poor, really, when it comes to what you offer. There were a few exceptions where if you're a poor person, you could bring this offering, and if you're a rich person, you bring that offering, but it was never something that you could just buy your way out of, that there's only one. Right. Yeah, there's really only one path as far as forgiveness. And so with Christ, doesn't that just level the playing field?
Yes.
It doesn't matter where you come from, doesn't matter who you who you are, or what your family background is, or your social status, what your job is.
It's truly the great equalizer.
Right.
In that anyone can be righteous and holy stepping into eternity. If they receive the life of the grace of God into their heart, they become worthy. Not in and of themselves, but through Christ, and they're fulfilling their design, and they are letting that flow through them.
Now, just to make sure I don't misunderstand, when we use the word like redeemed, the only time we use that nowadays is like coupons. So what is redeemed actually mean? Back then.
Well, I mean, hostages is another way that we have redemption. Hostages are.
Well, we call that a ransom, right?
Okay.
Well, you pay a ransom to get the guy out of wherever.
Well, okay, so yeah, there is a certain amount of ownership or responsibility in you being in that position. That might set it a bit apart from a hostage, but for sure, people were held hostage due to their debt, and someone would come and pay that debt, and that would redeem them.
Okay, so like paying off a debt, that's a different way of thinking about it than we usually would. We don't usually use the word that way nowadays, but in the Bible times, you're paying off somebody's debt, that would be considered redemption.
Yeah, you redeem the note. That's a phrase that's used on
like
when you finish out a mortgage.
Legal term.
Yeah.
I've never done that before.
Yeah.
Like finished out a mortgage. So
Yeah.
I actually don't know that word for how it's used there. Did they give me that when I paid off my car? I'm trying to remember.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That so like he's paying the debt all the way off for us, or like he's buying us back, kind of a thing. Okay. That helps.
Right.
Yeah.
In terms of knowing what redemption is.
Yeah. Help us understand it.
We're in a pretty bad state. We're born in that really bad state.
Mm-hmm.
Our parents, our sinful nature was inherited and planted us there.
Mm-hmm.
We don't escape that debt or holding or hostage situation. Being held and waiting for some sort of a ransom,
mm-hmm.
or redemption of a debt that we didn't. We incurred, but we incurred because that's where we were born in the
mm-hmm.
original sense
mm-hmm.
of the word, and God pulls us out.
And this is just one of the ways of describing that process of salvation, because there's so many aspects of it. Okay, that helps. That really helps, because just when we read the Bible, we run across words and language, and if we don't use them every day, then we kind of lose touch with what they really meant. Not just what they mean now, but what they meant back then too.
Right.
So okay,
yep.
That's why I like to dig into those kinds of questions.
Always,
because I always think about the guy who's reading his Bible Monday through Friday and runs into stuff like, I don't know what that is, and then forgets to ask on Sunday or whenever. So I always have that.
Have somebody with you at that moment.
Yeah, I always have that in my mind.
The nice thing about a study Bible, at least you have this stuff down here to be able to read into. Visit ESV study Bible.
Get one with some notes that explain some things.
Yeah, that's why whenever someone comes to the Lord and I give them a Bible, I try to give them a more compact ESV study Bible,
mm-hmm.
so that they can get into the notes on each thing and have sound theology that goes with it.
Oh, sure, yeah. I actually, working with a new Bible reader, somebody who just started reading the Bible, had to explain, hey, this part here, this is the Bible,
right?
And this part here is just the notes,
right?
Because he thought the whole thing was the Bible.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, get in there and study it out. That's cool. Okay, last week we dealt with foreknowledge, like back in verse 2, and it applied to the believers, to the fact that they're like foreknown and elected and all those like complicated theological concepts that we're dealing with. But this part of the chapter, we have it going on relating to Jesus. So verse 20, it says, "For he was foreknown before the foundation of the world."
Yeah.
So we were foreknown in the previous part of the chapter. And now foreknowledge is being applied to Jesus. What does it mean that he was foreknown before the foundation of the world?
I think the Trinity was in eternal community.
Oh, like God knew himself.
Yeah. He wasn't new. He wasn't created.
Okay.
In any sense of the word.
Not as like a distinct, like God or being or other angel or
or something derivative or anything like that.
Okay.
I think he's pointing out that Jesus is the foundation upon which our entire life is built on, because we are created in him and through him. Everything has their being as a result of him. Before
anything ever was.
Before everything ever was.
Jesus was there.
Yeah.
And the verse goes on to say he's here.
Yeah.
He's always been, and he still is.
He still is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good way to break that down. Because, you get into this idea of eternity.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard for us to wrap our minds around what does it mean that something always is or was,
Yeah.
The idea.
It stretches the human understanding of reality.
Mm-hmm.
So we live in a plane of three dimensions plus time, height, width, depth. So we have this three-dimensional thing going on, and then we have time that moves and changes through.
We didn't have that. We couldn't calculate speed, right?
Okay, yeah, all the math, right? But there are other in mathematics. You know, higher dimensions are possible in terms of applying additional forces and factors upon something and being able to calculate what they would do in higher dimensions.
Okay. Like this gets into the realm where maybe many of us can talk and few of us actually understand what we're saying.
I know. So I'm not describing like the Marvel Cinematic Universe idea of dimensions, where there's a whole different reality, just just a magic incantation,
parallel universe type of stuff.
Stuff. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about. So if God is all knowing, he has his relationship to time and space has to be different than ours, because he has to have a perception of all the things somehow, and that's not something we can comprehend.
Yeah,
because I can pretty much know what's going on in this room.
Yeah,
at the visible level.
Yeah.
There's probably an ant somewhere over there in the corner that's crawling around enjoying a crumb, but I don't know it.
Don't
because
need to.
I don't need to, and I'm not aware of it. But God is.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's true. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's wild to think.
And just in this small sphere, but now you've got the entire universe. He's doing that.
Yeah.
And the entire spiritual dimension as well. He's aware of all that.
For some reason, you're describing all this stuff, and what I have in my mind is the scene from Interstellar where the guy gets to the very middle of the black hole.
Yeah.
And there's all these like layers of time intersecting, and he's able to see past, present, and future at the same time. I know that's all like sci-fi, but that's what goes into my head when you say that.
Yeah. But when you say Christ was foreknown, he's outside of all this that is created.
Mm-hmm.
He comes into it.
Are you saying he's, to borrow really early Christian terminology, are you saying that he's uncreated?
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. What makes that? If God is the definer of our reality, and that's really what it's getting at here. One aspect of what it's getting at here is God is the definer of reality. He is outside of our reality, creating our reality. Who are we as human beings to start declaring, well, this is my truth? Oh, that's just your truth.
Oh yeah.
Right?
We're just gonna take
conversations like that.
Yeah.
Right. So when God says, I am the way, the truth, and the life, that's the path you have to be on. And if you're on any other path, you are denying reality. And if you try to live as if reality isn't reality, like if I tried to live as if gravity wasn't a thing,
sure,
gravity doesn't care.
You're going to find out sooner or later what the truth is.
Right.
And that's like with anything. You know, you talk about, I've got a broken car and I want to find out what the truth is.
Yes.
You'll find out what the truth is. A guy could tell you need to fix this or that or the other. If you get into it and work on it, pretty soon you'll find the truth.
Yes.
You know, whatever it is.
You'll see what's broken.
It's not a, I'm just going to...
You can't just declare, I identify this car as a working car. It doesn't... The car doesn't care. The car either works or it doesn't.
In my truth, the valves don't leak. Oh, well, guess what?
Yeah.
They still do. You know?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the fault of where our world is that we're trying to define truth from what we want it to be. We're trying to define the world that we want it to be. Yeah. Now, something far more on the level than crazy things about cars or gravity or whatever, far more on the average human level is I define the world as a place where no one will be unhappy with me. And if anybody is unhappy with anybody else, they are wrong to have that problem between them. Everybody should get along. If everybody was just kind to each other, then the world would be a happy place.
Yeah.
And that is fundamentally at odds with human nature. Human nature is that evil exists.
Right.
And people try to live as if they are their own God and a might makes right world. Yeah. they can't be nice to each other because that would break their view of the world. If you don't account for the fallen human nature and the malevolence that exists in the human heart, if you don't account for it and you don't do the hard work of combating it, you fall into chaos and you fall into harm to the world around you. And so back to that statement there in verse 14 where it says the passions of your former ignorance. It was the passions of their former ignorance that produced the chaos that people saw all around them. And then Christ was presented to them as the way, the truth, and the life. And something in them resonated with that, and they were drawn to it.
The ignorance bit was the absence of truth, and then they're exposed to the truth.
Exactly.
And okay.
Yeah. And that's what we're seeing so much with, you have someone call you, and I had someone meet with me in the aftermath of the Charlie Kirk assassination.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
They're saying the world is descending into chaos, and it's because of the allowance for everybody to be their own God, basically.
Right.
Defining whatever they want their identity to be, separate from reality, in contradiction of reality. Let's put it that way. And they're finally realizing that failed. It failed me.
Yeah.
Now.
If every idea is true, nothing is true, and if nothing's true, anything's permissible.
Exactly.
It's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
And that's scary
to
think of your world that way.
Sure.
To think of, I'm going to debate the value of life with people who don't value life. What could happen to me? What could be at risk in that conversation?
Yeah. We're all liable to be shot. If you have
with that philosophy,
right? With that philosophy,
yeah.
If everyone holds that I am my own God, then there is no law.
Guardrails, on morality,
or society can go. It's just whoever is strongest will dominate and mow over everything else.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the coolest things about Jesus being the truth, and there being, in the world where you're saying, well, what is true, and you're out there looking for it. When you see, Jesus presenting himself as the truth, treat it like any other thing. You're trying to fix your car, test it, look into it, find out if it's true. At the end of the day, you'll find out, you'll know.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I think that when we talk about people calling and looking for answers, I think they've seen the truth put up on display, and now they want to know, hey, is this legit? Is there something to this?
Yeah.
So come on in and test it.
Yeah.
Let's.
And I had to say that. I had to say that to the person, test it. Pray, ask God to speak to you. He will. Investigate His word. You'll find it true. Do the hard work.
Yep. And that's scary for some people.
And then at the same time, you have to let go
of
you being the judge.
That's why God. It's scary.
All right. Yeah.
You got to give something up. You got to give up some falsehood in order to get hold of that truth.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
We got this extra rabbit trail, but it was awesome. We didn't even talk about, I don't know how much time we have here, but we didn't even talk about like the word of God and the gospel at the end of the chapter. I don't even know. Should we jump into that?
I think, having purified your souls by your obedience to truth for sincere brotherly love.
There it is, the word truth right there.
Yeah, truth is there, and truth brings actual brotherly love. Not this fake, syrupy, I'm so empathetic and compassionate because I want to be thought of as a good person, but actual brotherly love. Being able to correct what is wrong, bind up what is right, and be there and love the person enough to point them to Christ. Yeah. Because we don't have much time.
Right.
Why waste time fooling someone or letting them think that you so care about them when really you just want them to leave you alone so that you can be happy in your little world.
The thing you say about not much time, he's referring to them as a bunch of strangers and exiles.
Okay.
It's like, this isn't all that there is.
All right.
You do have like a limited amount of time to get things right with people, to get things right with God.
And while you're out there and doing those kinds of things, but also life, all flesh is like grass.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
temporal
Withers, dies.
nature of our own existence,
Yes.
and compare it to the eternal nature of God and His truth.
Yeah.
The contrast is
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. The word lasts forever.
Yep. Yep. And it's the gospel that was preached to you.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Okay.
I don't know. I think we've taken a
good
amount of time. We
There's
can
a lot
unpack more. I don't even know how we're going to do this next week.
I might just do it solo, or we could do it with you in Brazil somehow. I don't know if you could do a Zoom.
We can try and figure out something. Yeah,
I'll try.
We could try. That would be kind of fun.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Maybe we can do it with the whole team gathered around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be super. I don't know how I'm going to get that, because if we're going to stay in 1 Peter, I'm going to have to get them read in on it. So we'll figure that out. But yeah,
we'll be reviewing your sermon.
Oh. Yeah, I guess you're right. I am preaching tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you. Okay.
And then the one after that, I don't know. We'll have to figure that out.
That's awesome.
All right.
Cool. Well, so for everybody to know, first of all, nobody enjoys this more than we do.
We like
but second of all, if you have questions or comments as you're studying the Bible, maybe studying the passage we're studying, maybe you've been listening to the sermons we've been preaching here at Hansville Church, write down your questions, send them in to us. We would love to answer them and deal with just unpacking these topics week to week. So yeah, don't be bashful.
All right. We'll see you next time.
Yep.